Welcome to SveNFL.
What's up, y'all?
It's Jonathan Rollins.
Skip me, Sarah.
And we are two Americans living in Sweden talking about football. As two fans whose teams' seasons are over, I thought it's no point in putting an air horn in there. You know, I think it's fun that the playoffs are coming. Football is still fun, but my team limped out of the running. But halfway through the game, you knew that Denver was not going to lose to Kansas City, so Miami just stopped putting stars in the game, and we're already. And then all of a sudden, the Jets were just beating the shit out of Miami with it was just bad. It's a bad ending to our season.
Yeah, I mean,
and news came out that if we would have made it somehow, if the Chiefs would have found a way for their backups to beat Denver, Tua probably wasn't going to play next week.
Oh wow!
So it feels like the right teams are in when it's all said and done.
Yeah, because he had some kind of a hip injury, some kind of a muscular hip.
Yeah,
thing.
I feel like just take a break, let your body heal, and come back next year, buddy. Because he said he's going to play. I was like, no, man, that's your problem. No, save him from himself. And now is a whole bunch of shit with my team. Talk about Tyreek Hill is like,
oh yeah,
it's his first time not making the playoffs, and he's like, fuck this.
He's not. He's handling it well. I see.
Yeah.
He's not being the bigger man. He's not.
Mm-mm.
No, he's not.
No, it's not his thing.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I like it, man. I like it. And there's only one. Well, I guess we'll go through it, man. What you got? How you feeling, man? Your team's out of it too. Very frustrating. I was watching your game a lot. It was in the first window, and it was a pretty exciting game as far as like red zone. But
sure, I mean,
frustrating.
Whatever. I mean, to me, honestly, being an Atlanta / Georgia based sports fan for as long as I have been, I knew better than to get too excited about the situation. Even when it looked good, I was like, man, don't play with me. What's that drop that we have?
What? Which one are you talking about?
The one where it's like, don't play with me right now. That's
what's her name? Cardi B.
Just answer the question, okay? Please don't play with me right now.
Exactly. That's pretty much how I felt. So I was like, okay, you know what? If you surprise me in the end, I'll be grateful, but don't fuck with me. Like I knew how this was all going to turn out. But it's whatever. We'll get into it, obviously. But I mean, there were a lot of weird games this week that didn't mean much. But there were still some interesting things that happened. So why not just dive right in? Yeah. Our first slate of games were on Saturday. You had the Ravens putting one on the Cleveland Browns. I mean, 35-10. I think we all knew how this one was going to turn out. It was a slow start, but Bailey Zappi, starting quarterback for the Browns in this game, he actually got the scoring started on the second drive with a perfect pick six that he threw to the Ravens cornerback, Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins from the A, actually.
I was not ready for that, man. You can't just say that and keep moving on. Like, come on, man. Perfect pick six.
Perfect pick six. Nate Wiggins, first career he's a rookie, so he's from the A, which is kind of fun. Young man's first career NFL interception, took it to the house.
Nice.
Bailey Zappi's second interception was probably the funniest interception all year. Have you seen this?
How did it go?
It is Michael Pierce. This guy's like 6 feet tall, 355 pounds.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
And I think, what did they say? His first career interception, obviously. despite
dropping
being
him in the
league.
coverage. I love it.
And the guy, like, you have a 355-pound defensive lineman who managed to jump the route
Yeah.
and pick up Bailey Zappi. It's like absolutely pathetic. And we'll have to add him to the soundboard later.
Yes.
I sent you a video clip.
I saw it, man. I saw it. It was
and he
hilarious.
has so many good. My favorite one is like, oh, he really threw that ball, didn't he? It's just like, oh my god.
Where's he from?
That's a good question. Where is Michael Pierce from? I don't know. He feels like he's such a giant human being. He is from Daphne, Alabama.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I feel like
where did he play? He played for Tulane.
Okay. Well, I feel like I got the video here that you sent me. So we can
cool. Yeah, play it. It's hilarious. I love this.
We could watch it back. See what he's got to say about this historic event. Look how he's dressed too.
The top 6, so there's a long history of turning big guy interceptions and fumbles and all that stuff into memes. So at the risk of ruining a career play like that for myself, it's time to go home. So bus was out of gas. We're good. Yes. I've recovered a couple fumbles, but first time catching an interception.
So have that be the capper on a win, so like this, to win the victory, icing on the cake. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it means everything, man. This is year 9. Like I said, I had an injury this year, so just trying to find my way back, find my rhythm and all that stuff is kind of tough. But to have that happen, like God is a funny God. So I'm grateful and glad I caught it. More importantly.
Can you describe the emotions that you went through when you caught that ball?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to curse on TV, but S word. You know what I'm saying? Say, oh my God, he really threw this football. So I got credit in your hands. I'm glad I caught it. And like I said, Coach freaked the smart football. And like I said, I don't want to end up on a meme on Instagram. My wife, everybody laughing at me. So we did the right thing. We got down and kept it moving.
How satisfying is it that this team started?
Sorry about that. Twitter went nuts right there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was dope.
This guy really threw this football.
I can't believe he really threw that football. That football.
Oh man, that was one of my favorite things I saw all weekend.
Yeah.
As far as the Ravens are concerned, obviously Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson had monster days.
Yeah.
King Henry, 20 carries, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lamar, he ran more than I thought he would in this game.
Yes.
I'm just glad he didn't get hurt. 2 passing touchdowns, 1 to Bateman, 1 to Mark Andrews. Probably the most significant thing to happen in this game was an injury to Zay Flowers, knee injury. Definitely don't want that to happen. I don't see him playing next week.
They just not gonna want that.
Yeah,
We'll see.
It sucks.
Moving on to the Bengals played the Steelers. They beat them 19-17. They went into this game knowing they needed a lot of help to sneak into the playoffs. And they needed the Broncos to lose, and they needed the Dolphins to lose. Only one of those things happened.
Yeah.
Bengals took care of business. Yeah, it's just a little. I mean, they finished the season on a 5-game heater, but again, it's just like too little, too late.
I wonder if they're gonna do what needs to be done. I don't know, man. I feel like it needs to be done. It needs to change the scenery. For Joe Burrow he's now in that contract now, and it's like time's a wasting, man.
I mean, it's really crazy because I mean, you've got the quarterback who's leading the lead in yards and touchdowns.
Yeah.
You got the sack leader on defense.
Yeah.
And you got Jamar Chase with the fucking triple. He finishes the season with the Triple Crown. I mean, this is rare air. Not a lot of people have done this.
Yeah.
As receivers, it's so strange to think that they're just not going to be in the playoffs. I don't know. The Bengals are kind of a special organization, famously not very cash rich. They really fucked up by not paying Jamar Chase at the beginning of the year when they had a chance. Now he's going to be even more expensive.
Yep, bye Higgins.
And Joe Burrow is lobbying for the front office to keep T. Higgins as well, but I just don't really see that happening, especially given how much work they need to do to rebuild this defense, which has just been absolutely terrible this year.
Yep.
What's wrong with y'all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they definitely mismanaged their cap situation or their roster situation this year, and wasted what was, one of the best seasons that some of their key players have ever had.
And it's like when you draft like that, you got to reward yourself by keeping the players on later, so you don't have to draft like that again.
You got to treat yourself, player.
Treat yourself, man. the cap is going to keep going up, so stay ahead of it, man. Get these guys locked in that are the guys, and then man, because they built up a really nice defense, and then they just gradually lose players every year. Defense starts faltering. People start figuring the league changes a little bit in the style, and the defense isn't as effective, and you got a dumbass coach that's doing dumbass coach things. He tried to lose this game too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The flip side, you talk about the Steelers for a second. They obviously are limping into the playoffs, having lost 4 straight, right?
Yeah, something like that. Because they lost to the Browns too.
4-game losing streak, where at no point in any of those games did they have a lead, right? So, and now they got to face off against the Baltimore Ravens, which I don't hate for them, to be honest. I mean, if you're going to play somebody in the playoffs, you might as well play a division rival. I think that's their best chance of actually sneaking into the next round. That being said, I think the Ravens are too good for them.
I want to say, too, to update everybody, at the beginning of the season, we always, as a fun thing, we try to predict the winners of each division. We got 6 out of 8 right this year, which is better than I think we got 5 last year. So we've improved. The first year we ever did it, we got 7 out of 8. The 2 that we missed were our divisions. We both picked our team to win. I think we should make a rule from now on that we're not allowed to pick our team to win a division.
I don't even think we should be allowed. Like, I honestly think we should call in a third party, impartial.
Yeah.
Like, because we're friends, right?
Yep.
So
try to look at the bright side for your friend's team. Yep.
You were as excited to pick the Falcons as I was, and I was all in on the Dolphins. I was like, this is their year. They're going to do it.
And we were more all in that the Bills were going to falter.
I was very much in on that.
We're like, it's time for them to drop off.
That was probably the one thing I was the most wrong about in the preseason.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Falcons, let's get this game out of the way. They lose 44-38 in overtime. We all knew the scenario. The Falcons needed to beat the Panthers, and we needed the Saints to beat the Bucks. Neither one of those things happened.
Yeah.
And this next-gen stats curse that tried to fucking lure me in. Saints are up by 10 at the half. Falcons are up by a touchdown at the half. I literally walked away from the television. I came into my room at halftime, and I wrote 3 words down on a piece of paper.
What was it?
I wrote, and I quote, "Hope, fuck you," end quote. I swear to God. That was the only thing I wrote down on a piece of paper.
Fuck you. All right.
Yeah. And then it all kind of unraveled from there, obviously. Despite the fact that Michael Penix had a great game, he looks really good. The only interception that he had in the game was actually Ray McLeod's fault.
Yeah.
He did that Kadarius Toney thing where he caught it and then threw it up in the air, and then Bijan had a great game. Drake London, my God, fantastic. He was good.
Yeah.
I especially love the one touchdown pass they had kind of late in the game where Penix threw it to him.
Yeah.
Very contested catch. Winds up being an incompletion because
his butt landed out of bounds. Yeah.
And then they literally just dialed up the exact same fucking play. And he was like, fuck you, touchdown. I was like, man, what a ballsy play that was. That was
And
so
he earned his penalty too, where he stood over him.
Yeah,
afterwards,
he did.
stood over like, is that a catch, bitch?
Yeah.
And they got the penalty, but they made the kick, so that was good.
That being said, the Falcons defense was just an absolute embarrassment. They allowed Bryce Young to have his best game of his NFL career, threw for 3 touchdowns and also ran for 2 touchdowns. My major takeaway from this game was that this was the perfect way for the Falcons season to end. And I mean that genuinely. An amazing lights out performance from all of the shiny toys that we have on offense. Very good game by Penix and London and Bijan. But dropping 44 points to the Panthers should be a very, very clear reminder that it is time for the Falcons to start taking the defensive side of the ball seriously.
Yeah.
I don't know how many picks we have in the draft this year, but we shouldn't take a single offensive player at any point. I don't care who's on the board. I mean, unless we happen to stumble into like the best offensive lineman, I'd be fine with that. Yeah. I want giant, muscular, heat-seeking defensive agents of chaos and violence. That is what I want. So, and we don't have a lot of cap space to fuck around with because of the Kirk Cousins mistake that we made. So we have to be really, really smart in the draft, I think.
Yeah, man. Well, the next game was Washington and Dallas, right?
Yeah.
And that one,
last second Terry McLaurin touchdown pass from Marcus Mariota.
I didn't even have it ready.
Marcus Mariota.
Commanders get the dub, locked into the 6th seed as they finish the game on a 4-game heater. Next week, the rookie phenom will face off against the Bucks, while the Cowboys, I don't know, they'll be out playing golf somewhere.
Who knows what's going to happen with Mike McCarthy? This is a very uncertain situation there.
It is weird. All of the reports seem to suggest that they're going to keep him. But, it's weird. I mean, I know you're already looking at the mock drafts. Most of the mock drafts have the Cowboys taking Ashton Genty, this crazy running back from Boise State.
They need a running back. Well, they were running way better at the end of the year, but I don't understand these Cowboys, man. The one running back is tiny that they have, Vaughn, I think his name is.
Oh yeah, Deuce Vaughn, yeah.
He was a tiny dude. I was like, man, what are they doing? I don't know about the Cowboys. It was fun to see Trey Lance out there, and then to get reminded that
he ain't good.
He ain't it. Yeah. I felt like Charlemagne.
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
I hit the wrong button.
Nah, that ain't it, y'all.
Yeah, he had that one play where he snuck out of a sack, scrambled out to his left, had a wide open receiver in the end zone, and he threw it like 3 feet short.
Yeah, that was.
The ground.
Wasn't that going to be like a go ahead touchdown too?
Yeah, I think so.
Man, that was so crazy.
Yeah,
to lose like that.
I mean, I don't know about the rest of people, but I really think that this Washington Commanders story is really fun. I like Jaden Daniels. I think it's just been they've been one of the greater stories in the league this year. And I think this matchup for them in the first round in the playoffs, I like this for them. I think they can go out and beat the Buccaneers. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. I think you're gonna have a Quinn Kingsbury classic where in the first half they're playing great and in the second half they fall off.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Speaking of classics, the Bears beat the Packers 24-22. The Chicago Bears break a long 10-game losing streak.
That's crazy.
They beat the Packers for the first time since 2018. First time they've won in Lambeau since 2015.
Jeez.
Great for them to finish the year on a high note, for sure.
I mean, did they though? I guess they were happy they beat them, but Jordan Love had a weird injury that might ruin their playoffs.
No, I meant for the Bears. Great.
I know.
Great
I'm
way
just
to
saying,
end
like the Bears,
Yeah.
they're happy about that, but they're beating Malik Willis.
No, I just mean like given their situation, like they're not. You could say, okay, well, you played your way out of a higher draft pick, but in all honesty,
No, I don't mind that.
the needs that the Bears have, as far as the draft is concerned, is primarily the offensive line.
Yeah,
They already have pieces.
yeah. You trade back.
I really don't have a problem. I think Caleb Williams is going to be very good as soon as you're
Definitely.
able to figure out how to protect him. If you see the stats split between Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams is actually better than him.
Yeah.
As far as
he takes some sometimes he takes some really bad sacks, man.
he does.
You just feel like, bro, either step up or like he always steps around. And
I think the one thing that I think the edge that Jaden Daniels has over Caleb Williams is that Jaden Daniels is much better at avoiding sacks. So yeah, I'd feel good if I'm a Bears fan. You know what I mean? You end the year on a high note. You try to build through the draft and you'd be fine. The Packers, on the other hand, as you suggest, you had a knee injury to Christian Watson. You had a hand injury to Jordan Love.
Elbow, right?
I think it was his throwing hand. He lost feeling in his throwing hand.
I think he had hurt his elbow, and then it was
it from his elbow, and it made his whole hand go numb?
Yeah.
Early reports said that Love's going to be good to go, obviously, but he's going to be facing the Eagles defense, which has really just gotten better and better over the last half of the season. It's going to be a tall order for a Packers team that I have argued is kind of overrated. And honestly, the numbers kind of show that of their 6 losses that they've had this season, 5 of them have come at the hands of NFC North rivals.
Oh, wow.
And the other loss was versus the Eagles. To me, that kind of division record, that's exactly why I can't trust you as a true contender.
Yeah, they're not a contender like that.
Mm-mm.
Then we had game of the week.
Speaking of not contenders.
Texans Titans, right?
You know what my favorite part of this is? The Tennessee Titans are 0-2 versus the Texans when they wear those fucking Oilers throwback uniforms.
Yeah.
Which to me has to be one of the more dick moves I've seen in the NFL in recent memory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what an insult to the football fans of the city of Houston. Like, imagine if the Ravens decided to wear Browns throwback unis when the Browns come to town. Can you? Lives would be lost if they did that. Like, people would be murdered, I think. Good news for the Titans. They locked up the number 1 overall pick by losing this game. Not good news for Will Levis, of course. As I would imagine, this will mark the beginning of his new career as a journeyman backup. He was never.
Sam Darnold is everybody's beacon of hope, though. Those type of guys, beacon of hope.
You know what? Listen to me. I'm so glad you said that. I've said this so many times before. He's not a real NFL quarterback. Okay, he'll have some moments here or there. He's got a cannon of an arm, right? He'll chuck it up, and the receiver will figure out a way to get underneath it. These so-called analysts who like kind of pontificate and compare him to Josh Allen or Sam Darnold, I'm telling you, it ain't gonna happen.
No, okay,
it's not gonna happen.
I'll take your word for it, man. He also said Bo Nix was trash and wasn't going to do anything.
There's still time for that. There's still time.
Okay. How do you feel about the Texans? Nothing, right? There's not much to say about that.
I don't feel good about the Texans. I think the Texans look really, really vulnerable, and they're going to face a Chargers team, which really feels like a team that, like, Harbaugh has like thoroughly injected that culture.
Yep.
His culture that he brings with him into that locker room, and I think the Texans are there for the taking, basically. Yeah, I really do.
The Jags Colts was the game of the week. Should we just skip that?
You know what my thought was on this?
What was that?
in a perfect example of how ridiculous it is to claim that the NFL is scripted, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts somehow, for whatever reason, went to overtime.
Yeah.
If you're telling me that the
Nobody
NFL is
wants that.
scripted,
Yeah.
why would you put this in the script?
Great
Nobody
point.
needs to see this, right? Colts won 26-23. A bunch of players went off, probably made some money hitting incentives.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the result was meaningless and a complete waste of time that had no business going to overtime. So yes, skip it. Jags get the 5th overall pick. That's the only interesting thing.
The Bills Patriots best thing of that game was sending out Josh Allen to do one play so he could keep his streak going. I didn't know he had an Iron Man streak, so that was pretty. That was actually pretty cool. Come out, hand it off, and get off. I'm out of here.
And then he's just like waving to the fans.
Yeah, watch this beat down.
Yeah, the Patriots fucked around and gave the number 1 overall pick to the Tennessee Titans by losing this game. And we all woke up this morning to find out that Gerard Mayo got himself fired.
You mean by winning this game?
By winning this game, yeah. And then Gerard Mayo got fired this morning.
For winning? This sounds like the Lovie Smith thing.
I mean, I honestly don't know if winning it is the thing that got him fired. I doubt it. I think it's probably a collective whatever.
I think Drake May was too good in the eyes of everybody to waste it and like try to figure out what's up with this Gerard Mayo guy.
I also thought that I agree with you, but I also think knowing that Mike Vrabel is sitting out there, the bell of the ball, knowing that Ben Johnson from the Lions might be available, like there's some really good options out there. I think Kraft is definitely. I have more to say about him later, but I think he's second guessing the decision that he made.
Yeah, he made it with his heart instead of his head.
I mean, I don't know if Gerard Mayo was a good coach or not, but I do think that it kind of sucks that he didn't get a chance to prove it either way.
Yeah.
1 year with a rookie quarterback and a shit roster.
Yeah.
And Kraft supposedly handpicked him to be the successor to Belichick.
Yeah.
It's kind of a dick move, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Patriots backup was fun to watch. Joe Milton III. He was fun. He was a fun player. He was a lot of fun.
I have a friend that's a Patriots fan. So I wrote Drake who as a text. He didn't respond.
Yeah, he used to be the quarterback for Tennessee in college. So my dogs played against him. He was a handful. I don't think we ever lost to him, but he was always a headache.
That play where he was running and threw across his body just lasered it into the guy for the touchdown. I was like, wow.
He kind of gives me Lamar Jackson vibes. I really think that if he wound up in the right situation, he might actually be a guy.
Wonder if we can get him as our backup for when Tua gets hurt next year.
He'd be a far more suitable backup.
Yeah.
Honestly.
All right. Then the Giants played the Eagles.
Yeah, they did.
Figured they'd win that one just one for the road, but no.
No, they didn't. They secured the number 3 overall pick, in a loss of heavy-weight quarterbacks Drew Lock versus Tanner McKee. Baby, the game we're all waiting for. This game was totally dumb and meaningless, especially all the talk radio chatter about whether Saquon should have played or gone for the record. It's just dumb. It's like, stop it.
Yes.
If he played and got injured, oh my God, Sirianni would have been hung and quartered in the town square. They would have killed him.
Each individual.
Yeah, exactly.
Punchable Face showed up and did his punchable face thing. 22 for 29, 138, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. That's a Drew Lock stat line.
First round of the playoffs, I think, sets up really nice for the Eagles. They're going to play the Packers at home. I like them winning that game for sure. We'll get into it more later, but yeah. Saints Bucks.
Oof. Game of the
Bucks
week.
Win. Bucks win 27-19. Saints nearly did what we needed them to do. had the lead at the half, made the Bucks work for it.
The NFC South delivered on week 18.
Yeah.
They did what the NFL wants. The teams played hard. They gave good entertainment despite having different levels of needs for the day. The Saints.
I mean, it annoyed me to no end. Obviously, red zone, for the majority of the year, red zone doesn't give two shits about the NFC South. But obviously, you get down to the last game scenario like this, they're double boxing this game and the Falcons game all night long. I'm like, stop it. But
it was the two games that were going to decide the division winner, of course.
I know.
But it's not their fault that you got the Panthers and the Saints in that division. I do wonder what's going to happen with their coaching situation.
Who, the Saints?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We'll see if the Riz sticks around.
I mean, look, the Bucks, despite the fact that they lost both games to the Falcons, were the most consistent team in the NFC South this year.
Baker, man, he put them on his back yesterday.
I mean, when the Bucks beat teams, they beat the brakes off of them. I mean, they put up 40 on the regular in the back half of the season to make sure they won this division. And you're right. And Baker, even when this game was very sloppy, it didn't look good. But, he puts the team on his back and, he got Mike Evans, his 1,000-yard season, barely. But they got it.
Barely.
But yeah, they put some bad football on tape. So I'm not convinced they're going to beat the Commanders in round one, but we'll see.
There's a lot of bad football from what I watch.
The Chiefs played the Broncos in order to ruin the AFC hopefuls' chances. The Chiefs took everybody out the game. They took Reed out. They took half the fans out.
They brought in that Andy Reid lookalike.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Though, what's the guy? Whatever happened with the guy, the bank robber guy? Is he still locked up?
Yeah, he's in prison.
Chiefsaholic.
Yeah, Chiefsaholic is in prison.
Okay, but yeah, the Chiefs. Poor us who were outside looking in. Poor Bengals and Dolphins, hoping.
The only thing dumber than the Saquon debate this week was the amount of people suggesting the relative likelihood of the Broncos losing to Carson Wentz and the Kansas City Chiefs backups. This was not even close. The game was in the bag by the end of the first quarter.
Yeah.
I just don't think a lot of people realize how large the gap is between starters and second stringers. I mean, it's large.
They took out 10 starters. When I heard that they took 10 starters out, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's been real.
I mean, Bo Nix obviously went off, but you can't learn anything from a game like this, right? I mean, their reward for making the playoffs will come in the form of a trip to Western New York to face the Buffalo Bills. So good fucking luck with that. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
That'll be a real test. And an interesting one too.
Yeah, agreed. Chargers Raiders, man.
Yeah.
Chargers they're kind of peaking. Like they're playing playoff football. They've been playing playoff football all year. So they're just like going into the playoffs, playing playoff football. However, unlocking more and more of Justin Herbert as like a little spice as well. And I think it's going to be a headache any team that faces them in the playoffs.
Totally.
It's like you get into a fight and it's like, oh, you won, but you were in a fight. That type of thing. Yeah,
and to be honest, winning this game was kind of a big deal for the Chargers, in my opinion, because if they lost this game, I think they would have had to go to Baltimore, but instead they get the 5 seed, which means they go to play the Texans, which are absolutely the most inferior of the division-winning teams. So it definitely gives them a chance to kind of avenge this very embarrassing playoff loss that they had 2 years ago, where they blew that massive lead to the Jaguars.
Oh, you talk about some Staley days.
Yeah.
They
So
got an opposite coach now.
with a loss, the Raiders locked up the 6th overall pick in the draft. If I'm them, I'm calling Cleveland right fucking now, saying, "You want to give me that 2 pick?" Because
I thought you wanted them to get Deshaun Watson. Okay, my bad.
I don't know what Cleveland's going to do, but obviously they're sitting in a position where they have a guy they're paying that much money to play quarterback. Are they really going to take a quarterback at the 2 pick? Maybe. If they're smart, they trade back and get some more draft capital because they have no cap space whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the Raiders are desperate for a quarterback. So that would be because you got my man, former Bulldog Brock Bowers out here finishing the year with the record for receptions when he's getting passes from Ritter and O'Connell and, who the fuck else? Who was the other one? I can't remember. 3 different shit quarterbacks. And this guy's out here breaking records. That's crazy. Get this man a quarterback.
Minshew. It was Minshew, the other guy.
Minshew, yeah. I mean, it seems very obvious to me what the Raiders need to do.
Then you had the Seahawks played the Rams. Seahawks beat the Rams. They, the Rams put half-hearted effort, and looked like Geno got hurt pretty bad, right?
Geno was going for it. Geno had a list. I think he had a list of like 3 or,
he made like
4 different incentives. Yeah, where it was like a bunch of incentives. I think it was like a certain amount of snaps. It was a certain amount of touchdowns, a certain amount of yards or something. He was out there making that money.
That's how you look out for it. That's how you look out for the player. I wonder if the front office is up there watching the game like, God damn it. Or are they just like, earn your money, buddy? Hopefully they're like that.
I liked that my man, former Bulldog, back-to-back national champion, Kenny McIntosh. He's like a 3rd string running back. He got some playing time. Looked good in this game.
Yeah.
We got to see Jimmy G. For those of you who forgot where he wound up, he was backing up the Rams. Yeah, he didn't completely embarrass himself.
No. He did some Jimmy G things.
This game kind of meant nothing for the most part. The worst thing that happened to the Rams was knowing that they were destined for a first-round playoff matchup versus whoever was going to lose that Lions-Vikings game. I mean, a 14-win team versus the 10-win Rams who just squeaked into the postseason.
And the Rams have the worst home field, one of the worst home field situations too.
Who I like in this game, and I remember seeing him in the preseason, and I haven't seen much of him this year, but this Rams wideout, Jordan Whittington. I actually think Cooper Kupp, maybe he's banged up or whatever. He's kind of fallen off in the back half of the season. I think they should play this kid ahead of him if they want to win this football game. He's good.
I look forward to that game. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be interesting.
Rams versus because your boy, man, former Bulldog Matthew Stafford. He's a beast. I like watching him play.
Yeah.
And then we had the Dolphins Jets. I mentioned it already. It turned into a game about nothing. Aaron Rodgers went off by the end of the game, but they smartly the Jets put the scoreboard up and showing highlights from the Denver game on the scoreboard at the stadium as the game was going on. So it was almost like, hey guys, you're playing for nothing now.
Right.
And then Miami just was shitty. Whereas Tyler, whatever his name is, Huntley, we'll probably never see. We'll never see him in the Dolphins jersey again, but he just had a rough go at it. They were getting to him, and he was trying to do too much and really giving the ball to the other team. So it was limped out of the season, got it over with, ripped the Band-Aid off, and then poured salt in the wound. So thanks, Dolphins, getting it done, and hopefully the team won't fully fall apart. And they've already said that they're bringing back coach and general manager so everybody can shut the fuck up. That's basically what Stephen Ross said.
It's going to be a very interesting offseason for both of these teams. The Dolphins for obvious reasons, and then the Jets, you got all this drama with Rodgers, and obviously Adams was only on a 1-year contract.
People are saying they're a package deal. Like if some team wants Rodgers, they'll probably get Adams as well. But like,
That's not.
what team is in that situation where you're like, we're just a quarterback and a wide receiver away to rent? What? This ain't the NBA, man.
I don't know if the Titans have money, but I could see them taking a swing at that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In an otherwise kind of easy division, more or less.
That's a good one.
Saints? Rodgers, Saints, sure. Fuck, shoot me in. They don't have any money though. They don't have any cap money.
Okay, but that's a bunch of
Saints are done. The Saints cannot even fuck with free agency for at least 2 years. There's no way that could happen. Rodgers joins Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and Brett Favre as the only quarterbacks to ever throw 500 touchdowns. So, respect.
Yeah,
respect for that. Disrespect.
There was one part of the game where it looked like they didn't have an offensive coordinator. They just no huddled and he ran plays. They just ran no huddle and he said, "All right, you did it." It was like, and at one point he said, "Manning." I was like, "Yeah, this is definitely Manning." He was doing a Peyton Manning impersonation, and he just ran the offense for like a full quarter. It felt like.
Wow.
What do you think about this shit?
What do you think about the Tyreek Hill situation?
I think he's never had a season where he didn't go to the playoffs and he's just hurt. It's got to be painful. You know what I mean?
But do you think? I mean, he seemed to insinuate that he wanted out. Do you think he's gone or what?
I think he really likes the situation in Miami and I mean the people associated with the Dolphins organization. And I think he'll give them a fair shot to make a pitch. And I think depending on that, you know, then he'll make a decision. I don't think he's like, I'm out of here. He said I need to weigh all my options. I watched the thing today. I weighed my options, but it can't be like this. So they're gonna have to convince him that this is the right place, and I don't know how they're gonna convince him because he kept talking about how not having QB1 was a big deal. But they need to. I think that got Mike McDaniel exposed a bit. So McDaniel has to say, here's what we're going to do. Maybe we have a, high impact, best backup in the league type of situation for when Tua gets hurt.
Interesting.
Or we get these better linemen or whatever, or get fucking Eichenberg off the team and Hill and these people that there's I forget his first name, that tight end that whiffs the block every goddamn time. Those people off the team and say, we're going to keep him upright so he doesn't get hurt. And if he does get hurt, we got this contingency plan in place. They need to pitch a whole thing to him if they want to keep him.
You know, speaking of that, there's another interesting report this week, similar as far as like the team needing to pitch the player that you have some sort of a plan. Apparently, Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns has approached the Browns front office and is basically putting them on notice saying, I want to stay here, but you need to tell me how you're going to fix this. And if I don't like your answer, I might dip.
Dip. I ain't dip in a while.
that is, I mean, that would be huge.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what they say. I'm sure they're going to be having meetings pretty soon, but I think they do need to take a different approach. Like maybe McDaniel in the offseason can cook up a standard playbook that is ready for in case Tua gets hurt. Yeah. It's weird to operate on that in that way, but you got to have something, or like a backup. You get a backup that you trust, and you know you have a game plan for that backup. It's hard to get somebody. I was talking to my brother-in-law yesterday about this. That it's hard with a quarterback so unique as Tua. If you have somebody with the skill set that he has, they're probably starting somewhere. You know what I mean? And then to have your backup, to have those things that it's hard to get a backup, you can't emulate it. So your game plan is all about timing and precision. But quarterbacks who can do that are employed.
Right.
So you got to have a backup that is what is going to throw these timing routes, that do all of these eye movement, hold the safety, fake this way, throw it out. No, you got to have something else in plan. So it's a really tough thing.
Speaking of teams that may be searching for a different approach, the San Francisco 49ers lost
You called it.
to the Cardinals 47-24. Kyler Murray threw 4 touchdown passes on his way to bitch slapping the Joshua Dobbs-led 49ers in another game that meant absolutely nothing to anyone.
Dobbs. I like Dobbs, though.
Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah, but he's definitely going to up and down. He's like a low-budget Kirk Cousins. Cousins from Timu.
But Joshua Dobbs can actually run. That's
true. That's just maybe not Kirk Cousins.
Who knows what happens to Kirk Cousins? But
and then the final game of the week, I haven't seen the full game yet, but Vikings and the Lions went at it.
Okay, yeah. Finally, we have a real football game to talk about. Even though someone forgot to tell the Vikings to show up, this was a tight, low-scoring affair, 10-9 early in the third quarter. At which point, Jahmyr Gibbs just went fucking bananas, scoring a second half hat trick, 3 touchdowns in the second half, 4 total on the night. The Lions defense, yes, those Lions defense locked down the Vikings and held them to only 3 measly field goals.
Jeez.
Sam Darnold was not good. 18 for 41. 166 yards and 0 touchdowns. Goff threw a couple of picks, but it didn't really matter because the Lions defense, I mean, honestly, they were playing like Dan Campbell was threatening to eat their kneecaps if they lost this game. Like nobody expected them to play this well.
I've got controlled fury, and I'm ready to go.
The first time since 1993 that the 1 seed was determined in the final game of the season.
Oh wow!
First time in God knows how long since the Lions won a division title.
Yeah.
This is such a big deal for the Lions to win the 1 seed. Rest up, get healthy. What they've accomplished, given the number of key injuries that they suffered on defense, is
So
nothing
true.
short of remarkable. I mean, it
So
really
true.
is remarkable. And I think you kind of have to give it up to these coaches, like the culture that he built. I know that it's such a vague, intangible thing that you can't, you know, that kind of stuff drives the analytics nerds crazy because you can't count it.
Yeah.
But it matters more than any of those numbers
Yep.
that they can throw at you.
So true.
So who was that? I heard something this past week that I thought was really funny, making fun of the analysts. They're like, oh, the analysts who like to hit you with all the analytics are like the guys who like to read sheet music rather than actually listen to the fucking song. I was like, that's such a great way of putting it.
I love it. I love it.
That's so good.
That's the book was better than the movie, people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of, I was riding a train today with a heart on.
I love that is happening to you. It's so funny.
I know how it feels now to anticipate a man entering my body. To him looking at my lips and wanting to feel my breast against him. I know that feeling now. Undressing my dragon riding apparel so that he can caress my injured back before he enters me and give me exactly what I wanted.
Wow.
That's how I feel on the bus.
I love that for you. I really do.
Oh shit! I'm thinking about reading, so like putting a clip of me reading, like what the fuck, or like listening to it, like what the fuck? Is anybody else hearing this shit?
That's funny.
Oh man, yeah. So that's all the games this week, man. I'm excited about the playoffs. I'm bummed about my team's showing this year, but it is what it is. It happens. You have injuries, you got to deal through it. My team couldn't, and now we reload for next year.
So before we move on to superlatives, just for clarity, this is the playoff picture.
Okay.
On the AFC side, the Chiefs get the first round bye, so they're just hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Broncos. Well, let's see. Yeah, Broncos versus Bills.
I'm looking at it here. Broncos are playing
Well,
Buffalo.
I was just thinking about. I was just changing my mind about like maybe I should call them out in order of which they're happening.
Okay.
Saturday, 10:30 our time. The Chargers are going to be playing the Texans in Houston. Later that night, 2:00 in the morning for us, the Steelers are going to play the Ravens. Sunday, 7:00 our time, you got Broncos Bills. 10:30, you got Packers versus Eagles. And then Sunday night, you got Commanders versus Bucks. Monday night, Vikings versus Rams. It's hot.
Nice. The Vikings Rams, that might be a fun game, man.
Could be. Could be a bloodbath too, though.
Are you gonna set up a pigskin pick'em playoff?
You know what? They don't do that anymore. They took away the playoff pigskin pick'em, and they have this new thing called like brackets or something.
Are we gonna do that? No brackets.
We did it last year, and it wasn't as fun.
Okay. Oh yeah, I remember that. Where we put a bracket up, and
it wasn't as fun.
Yeah, because it's not as like ranked like that. Yeah, it's not.
Well, because the way they did the playoff pick'em was actually quite fun. You could pick the teams, but they also they threw in some other like kind of player prop type stuff. Like, will so and so get over a certain amount of yards?
Yeah, for tiebreakers.
Like it was.
Yeah.
I thought the playoff pick'em was great. I don't know why they got rid of it. And I went searching for another one yesterday, and I couldn't find one. But I'll keep looking and see if I can find something.
Okay.
But yeah, those are the matchups. Obviously, we'll come back later in the week and talk about them and pick them. You got an MVP?
I do not have an MVP. I was thinking though, who was it? The same. The guy won, right? Pigskin Pick'em.
I assume so. Yeah.
Because he was way ahead. Well, shout out to him. I forget.
Is he your MVP?
Yeah, he's the real MVP. The real MVP. I would say MVP. Is it Baker Mayfield? Is Baker Mayfield the MVP?
Doesn't he have he has a clip that we should have on the soundboard? Isn't he the one who said I woke up feeling dangerous?
If he does, I want to hear that.
It's out there regularly. I'm pretty sure it's Baker Mayfield. I woke up feeling dangerous.
I like that.
I think it's Baker Mayfield.
MVP, Dan Campbell. I'd say
I like that.
Dan Campbell MVP, man. Got the 1 seed. Nobody ever really believed in him. They kind of like, it's like you were talking about the analytics and all that stuff. He seemed too old school, but he's not that old school, man. He goes by gut instinct, and his guts are sometimes right, sometimes wrong, but he stands on his convictions. He holds himself accountable publicly. He's a true leader, and it's great to see that type of leadership is being rewarded with a 1 seed, a bye week. Despite injuries and all that stuff, he has a room full of 53 men always ready to run through a wall for him, and it shows on the field. Even if you're throwing up, he gives you a shout out and a speech. He's that type of guy, man. So he's the MVP. I really wish him the best. I hope he can pull off the whole thing. And then
I really love his vibe too. Like in the press conferences and whatnot leading up to this game, while most people were kind of complaining, and Lions fans included, saying, "Oh man, it sucks that the Lions have the best season they've ever had, and they still got to fight for the 1 seed in the end." And he was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" He was like, "It doesn't get better than this." Like he was like, "This shit doesn't happen every day. Like
exactly.
you're never gonna forget this. Like fucking cherish the moment. Go out there and win the game, and just fucking ride this wave. Like his energy is so great. I love this guy.
Yeah, man. So yeah, he's MVP. Who's
For
your
me,
MVP?
though, I've said this more than once. I'm going to say it again with some new numbers to back it up.
Baker. I'm sorry.
The first quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 4,000 yards and rush for over 800. He actually nearly rushed for 1,000. Threw 41 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. And if you grind tape like we do, you'll remember that 3 of those 4 interceptions bounced off a receiver's hand. So he really only threw 1 dumb interception. I'm talking about Lamar fucking Action Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL. I don't care that he won it last year. I don't care that Josh Allen has never won it. Lamar Jackson is the MVP all day, every day.
Yeah, this ain't
Period.
this ain't the Oscars.
No, exactly.
So we're not getting a legacy thing.
You the real MVP.
Trash. I'd say. I don't have anything prepared. I'd say the trash is the fans of the AFC South. They got to see their top team is the Texans, who are limping past bad teams and peaked last year, and that is the representative from your division. You're just Dookie. You're all gonna meet up at the
Dookie.
You're Dookie, and you're all gonna meet up at the draft with something to play to hope for. We still don't know what's up with Doug Peterson. He was reflecting on the year. It's like, what? Reflecting on the year? That's like thinking back on the shit I took last week. It's like, I don't know. It just wasn't fun. So I think it's a whole dumpster fire. We don't even know what's going to happen with the coach. Like, every coaching situation except for DeMeco Ryan is like, wouldn't be surprised if every team besides the Texans got rid of their coach. That's not a good look for that division. So wish them all the best so they can be more exciting next year. To have it where at week 18, as opposed to your team's division, it was exciting and everybody's wondering what's going to happen. This one was just like 2 games of just look over.
For my trash, I'm going to go with Robert Kraft.
I saw that coming, yeah.
For firing Gerard Mayo. Again, I have no evidence that Mayo will be a great coach. But this was Kraft's guy. You handpicked this dude, and then you only gave him 1 season with a shit roster to prove himself. I'm sure that, him being black has nothing to do with it, so I'm not even going to suggest that. But honestly, Kraft seems so preoccupied this past year with this like PR machine that he had all cranked up, designed to like trash Belichick.
Yep.
There have been numerous insider reports that Kraft has always been bothered by the fact that Bill and Brady get all the credit for the Patriots dynasty. So much so that he funded a multi-episode documentary this year to inject his version of history into the stratosphere.
Oh, good point.
An exercise in media propaganda that was roundly panned, not only by the critics, but by the actual players who took part in the documentary didn't even like it. I don't personally give a fuck if Kraft makes 1,000 documentaries. All I would say is maybe if you spent less time getting rub and tugs from Thai massage parlors and trying to make us forget that you basically lucked into the greatest coach and quarterback of all time, you might have more time to run a functioning football franchise. So I say, fuck Robert Kraft. You're trash.
You are trash!
Damn. All right. Shit got learned. I can go first. I got a new thing that's my favorite thing about week 18. It's not normally my old favorite thing was, up until yesterday, was the fact that these divisions play each other. Because it used to be, I don't know if you remember before they made it divisions, they used to not give a fuck. Some of these games were like but something about divisions going against each other, you can ruin. The one thing you can do is ruin your division's chance, or your division rival's chance, or you can get this thing or that thing done. That came about with the divisions, and week 18 was, or week 17 back then, was something that was more exciting than when it was like watching the Pro Bowl. Now, incentives, man. Incentives are the best thing about Week 18, where you can watch the game. We know going in, because we have so many details about contracts, going in that Geno Smith can make $3.2 million today if this, and this, and that happens. It's almost like you got a betting line to mess with. It's like watching a game with bet, but the only thing that you get instead of a possible cash reward is the reward of somebody being extra happy that's already living their dream. It's so dope, and it's I love it, man. It's like I'm a very positive guy. That's like, it doesn't get more positive than seeing a millionaire get happy about a few more million. It's dope.
That's nice. I like that. For my shit got learned, I went to a weird art exhibit over the weekend.
No surprise there.
It was an installation that explored the not so bold and definitive line that separates life from death. Okay. Among many things that I learned was a rather strange tactic used by coroners in the 1700s to make sure that a person was actually dead. Okay. Accidentally burying people alive was apparently more common in those days. So,
my son just told me about this, actually.
Yeah. So to establish absolute certainty, the lifeless person in question, to exclude the possibility that, this person was still alive, would undergo a tobacco smoke rectal enema. Yes. They would literally blow smoke up a person's ass. Okay. For whatever reason, tobacco was considered to have magical properties in those days that could revive human consciousness.
Okay.
Very weird. But what I learned
emphasis on the butt.
That we need to bring this medical tradition back, and we need to administer it, this procedure, to the NFL teams that missed the playoffs this year. Instead of these teams spending the entire offseason blowing smoke up their fans' asses, trying to make them feel like, the ship is moving in the right direction, I say we blow smoke up their asses to make sure that they're even fucking awake, right? Make sure they're awake, make sure they're alert, make sure they're even like biologically alive enough to realize that they are terrible at their jobs and they need to do better. Normally, the NFL can brag about the concept of parity, but this year we have way too many 3, 4, and 5 win teams.
Yeah.
Okay. I know for damn sure, if those teams knew that a replication of this mediocrity came with the punishment of a rectal tobacco smoke enema, I'm pretty sure they would play better football next year.
I like it, man. I want lasers in the balls, and you want smoke up the ass.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't have any spec to give out. If you got spec, you can go for. I was going to go right to the scariest teams if you didn't have anything.
I just want to go with the Detroit Lions defense. No team has dealt with more injury adversity all year long. And in the biggest game of the year, they came out and snatched the 1 seed in the NFC versus a team that we were told had a far superior defense.
Yep.
We were told that the Lions just have to, hope that they can outscore their opponents because they can't stop a nosebleed.
Yep.
Well, they came out. They held the loaded Vikings to only 9 total points. Back to the drawing board, pundits. You're going to have to find some other bullshit reason why the Lions are going to blow this thing, because right now they are looking like a team of destiny to me. Lions D, put some motherfucking spec on their names.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so funny that
put some respect on my name.
That you saw when we were watching that video earlier, and then the next clip came up. That woman that was dancing in that video is like the only straight up diehard Lions fan in my life. I was stationed with her in Turkey, and she does a dance every time they win and puts it on Twitter. She's pretty popular on Twitter. So she does like a dance, like check out my team. It's so dope. That I'm glad for her, because like you don't see teams fans of shitty teams get payoff so much, and I really hope that she's another person that even though she's a fucking hater, I hope she hears this because she came to my house before and actively rooted against the Bucks because like rooting for the opposite team when we were all watching football. That's weird shit to do, man. It's like, you're a Lions fan, your team ain't playing, and you're over here. Oh, I hope your team loses. I'm rooting for the opposite. They're like, fuck out of here, man. Don't do that to somebody's house. Anyway, despite that, I'm hoping that her team wins, and maybe she's past that bitter shit now that your team is good.
Love it.
It might be a byproduct. All right, man. We'll be back to talk about the these playoff games. Actually, talking about playoffs, bro.
Playoffs? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me?
Oh, I will talk about playoffs. It's been fun, man. I'm sorry that our team seasons are over. I would have loved to be in here rooting for the Falcons to do something in the playoffs, but Sandra this morning was like, "Did they win?" I was like, they didn't win, but they would needed the other team to win, and they lost anyway. I mean, they won. The team that we needed, the help we needed, didn't happen anyway. I was like, just another. I said it so matter of factly. Another season, we'll just get back at them next year. She was like, "Oof, that's so sad." I was like, that's my life, man. I'm a Dolphins fan. Thank you all for checking out this episode of SveNFL. We'll be back to talk playoffs. We're talking about playoffs.
Don't talk about playoffs.
This has been Jonathan Rollins.
Skip me, Zara.
With SveNFL. Peace.
Later, y'all.